Hi everyone, welcome to Here We Are, Brattleboro's community talk show. I'm Wendy O'Connell and we're back again today with someone from the community, and that someone is Renee Woliver. Renee is the Marketing and Outreach Director at Senior Solutions, a local agency that works with community partners to provide a very wide variety of services to help folks age gracefully and with dignity. Renee has also served on many local nonprofit boards and was for many years on the mighty Brattleboro women's hockey team, the Riverhawks. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. It's great to have you on. Let's jump into the Riverhawks just for fun.
Sure.
Because you did have an incredible team, and I think COVID put a little bit of a hole in that.
COVID did send us for a loop, but the team had been around since the early 80s, I believe, and has a long history. And it's just a great group of women who got together in any stage of their hockey career. So everywhere from people who had grown up playing the sport to people who just came to the ice for the first time.
Wow.
And so, helping them get dressed and putting on their equipment.
Oh, wow.
So, we played different teams in the area. We played against the team in Keene, and there's a team down in Greenfield, and also one out in Manchester, Vermont. And so we just had a great time, and we had all ages and everybody there. We had an older player named Marcia, who was 60 when she played, and all the way down to people in high school. So
that's so cool.
When COVID hit, we hit a little bit of a bump. We haven't been able to get the team back together again. I think it's hard to get back on the ice once you stop playing. Our ice time was Thursday nights at 9:30 p.m. And so that was always kind of a curveball to try to get people on the ice at that time. And so once you stop going out Thursdays at 9:30 in January, it's kind of hard to pick that back up.
Yes, I would think that would be a thread that would be very hard to pick back up. And you had such a great team. There was some at Core Trowbridge, who was the executive director here. And I was looking through the names. I was like, oh yeah, Christy Turner and Billy Slade from Green Mountain.
Amelia Darrow also played, a local attorney, and Sharon Gentry, also a local attorney. So we had a great number. Every profession was there. We had a bunch of teachers and just a great group of women who all got together to get away from their kids and just love to come play. Get out all their aggression.
9:30 at night.
At 9:30 at night.
That's so wild. I know that ice time has always been a real problem with different teams. Yeah.
Well, the adults always get the latest time. They can't very well put the youth hockey at 9:30, so they put us at 9:30.
Amazing. That's so cool. We just need a river that freezes, right?
That's right. A couple of years ago, it did when the Connecticut froze.
Yeah.
A bunch of us went out and played, and so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'll bet that was exciting.
Yeah, that was great.
That's really cool. Well, the Riverhawks, go Riverhawks. Maybe you'll come back,
Maybe
right?
we'll come back.
Renee, you have really had a career working in marketing, public administration, that kind of job. And you went to school for business as well?
I did, yeah. My undergraduate degree was in marketing, and my master's is in public administration.
And what was your interest in that? That piece of business?
Yeah, when I graduated with a marketing degree, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I ended up falling into some nonprofit work. And after being in the nonprofit world for a while and looking around, I realized that a lot of nonprofits have a lot of great people who do frontline work, and then they get promoted, and they no longer are able to do that frontline work, and they are doing things like grant writing and data management and things that they might not be so passionate about, but that's stuff that really interests me. So, when I went back to school for my public administration degree, my kind of charge and my personal mission is to I want to make sure that people who are on the front lines have everything that they need to be successful, and so that they don't have to think about data reporting or do they have the right materials or is their website up to date. Or they can really focus on doing that really tough frontline work, working with clients and working in the community. So that's kind of where I'm marketing, but I like to sort of be in the in the background a little bit.
But being a support for all of those people,
Yeah.
so that to make their job easier.
That's right.
Goes along with many of the things that you've done, many of the organizations that you've been involved in, and I think we actually spoke about this the other day, how the model for an advertising agency has changed. Whereas I think, well, when you were in school, was that the model that you were looking at?
Yeah, when I was in college in the late 80s, and so there was a lot of focus on marketing using direct mail, using telemarketing, using newspapers and paper advertising, and now it's all social media, it's all very targeted using influencers, and it's a very niche. You have to really narrow down where you want, who you want, and how to get them. And sometimes it's really hard to find those people. But that's, it's like finding a needle in a haystack and really trying to figure out, like, where is that market segment that you want to get? And sometimes it's finding an influencer who does a cooking show that has 500,000 followers and seeing how you can tie in something to that.
So that's part of the work that you do, is sort of Sherlock Holmes, right? But you enjoy that.
I do, especially at Senior Solutions, where there are so many people who don't necessarily know about us or know that the services that we provide, because we've just been quietly doing the work for so long.
Yes.
And so many people are, even in this day and age, are not digitally connected.
Yes.
They still don't have broadband or don't want to use phones, and sometimes that's generational, and sometimes that's just a product of where they live. So we've had to try to figure out a variety of ways to meet people where they're at. Some people are very technically savvy, and so web-based communication, digital communication works for them. And others, we really still have to use like the local town newsletter that gets printed and that they pick up at the general store.
Wow.
So it's the spectrum.
After you graduated from college, you kind of started in the midst of a decade, I think, really adapting to a new world of getting the word out.
I graduated undergrad in 1990, and so when you think about 1990, there was, very few computers, there was no phones, there was no internet, and to where we are today, and just 35 years later, it's isn't it amazing? People don't even have computers anymore. They just have their phones, which are like computers in your pocket. So it's you can find anything you want in a second. And so part of the marketing and the communications challenge is to capture people's attention in a very short window, because you used to have somebody who would sit down and like read an article in the paper, which might take 10 minutes.
Yes.
And now you have 10 seconds until they scroll past you, or swipe up, swipe left.
Yes.
And so really getting that message out quickly and compellingly is the challenge.
It's a challenge. And is it one that you've enjoyed?
Yeah, it's always nice to see like what will be the hook, what will be the sticky thing that gets people's attention, and what is it that people can really grab onto.
Yeah.
And so, and knowing like the different media has different stickiness.
Yes.
So, a newspaper article will if you put an article in the Commons, it will stick around for a while, even if it's just in the newspaper on somebody's, desk or waiting room table. Whereas if it's on Facebook, it's gone in an instant.
That's right.
So it's really like, what is it that you really want to say? It also gives you the opportunity to really change your message really quickly if something's not working. Right.
Or if you made a bad mistake.
That's right. That's right. It's like, that's what I tell people. Like, we put it on the internet, we put it online, we put it on our website. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. It's not like a print publication. It's not the 10 Commandments in stone. We can change it. Yeah. Like in the next breath, we can edit it. So let's just put something out there and see how it goes. And you do everything from web design to doing email management for people, social media, certified Google Analytics, individual qualification, which I don't even know what that is. Yeah, right? I still do some of that. Yep. But I mainly help people manage their WordPress sites. And a lot of people have really great websites that are built for them, and then they're not sure what to do with them. Once the developer builds it and hands them the keys, they're not sure how to drive it. So I try to help people kind of manage their website, make sure that their content's up to date. I think that all of us have the frustration of going to a website and seeing old dates on it or outdated information, and then it's hard to trust anything.
Exactly.
So I try to keep everything as up to date as possible, and make sure that people's social media is, and Senior Solutions social media is actively used so that it comes up in people's feeds a lot. So if you post more, it'll come up in your feed more.
Right.
So that's the kind of the goal.
That's right. Yeah, it's almost like, our whole modes of communication have changed so much, and we're so much more aware of things like that, like likes or,
likes and shares and repostings and all of that stuff. And that's how you generate buzz and interest, and that's how you get your message out. So if if I post something on the Senior Solutions page and then I share it to the Brattleboro Facebook page, it gets in front of, 8,000 people that are members of that Facebook group.
Yes, right.
Right? And then maybe somebody on that page will share it with somebody else. And so the reach just extends eventually to the person who didn't know anything about us but needs us.
Yeah, it's exponential. I think also in the last 5 minutes we've talked about a couple different things, which is your role at Senior Solutions, but also at one point you started your own company called After the Launch.
I did, yep.
And that came out of many years of working in different places.
Yeah, for sure. I started after the launch during COVID, which I was just trying to figure out what to do. I was between jobs at the time, and I was like, well, I know there are a lot of places out there. Like I said, that a developer will hand somebody, a small business or an individual, the keys to the website, and they won't know how to do it, or they don't have the skill set to do it, or they don't know how to do their own social media, or use something like Constant Contact or MailChimp, a bulk email sender. So I can do that. And so that kind of does what I like to do on a much smaller scale, which is helping smaller businesses and individuals get the word out about what they do and keeping their stuff up to date so that they can do the stuff that they like to do. One of my clients owns a hockey team. She's a hockey coach, and she gives hockey clinics to women and girls hockey teams. But she doesn't want to manage a website, so I can do that for her.
Right, yeah.
And so that's been really rewarding.
Do you do much work with creatives, with people, when you were saying that they want to do this but not this? So many people who are painters or musicians or sculptors or whatever don't want to go in that world or don't feel equipped to go into that world.
Yeah.
Have you
I haven't, but I'd be open to it.
Yeah.
Once we came out of COVID and I got a full-time job, in July of 2020, I started working at the Boys and Girls Club, and so that started taking up a lot of my time. So I didn't really have a lot of time for my side gig, my side hustle. But I think I still try to plug into that when I can. It sort of keeps me fresh, also, where I'm not just working on the one platform.
Your After the Launch business, your tagline was "Let your message soar," which is pretty great. And I think that I get a feeling that that's kind of sort of a tenet of what you go by as doing the job that you do for whatever the organization is. Yeah. And were you were working at the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, I was the operations director there from July of 2020 through this past December of 2023.
Oh, all the way through COVID and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your job there? What did you do?
So, basically, my job was to be part of the team that brought the club back and through COVID. So we were open throughout COVID because we were considered an essential business. As providing childcare.
Yeah.
So our job was to try to offer as much as we could, as safely as we could throughout COVID, and make sure that kids had a place to go that was safe, that their parents felt safe, and following all of the rigid COVID guidelines. And then once COVID kind of faded. It was really just how can we launch and how can we make the program, even bigger and better than it was before.
Yes.
But by the end, I was pretty burned out. Going through COVID was a lot.
Yeah.
And I was ready for something new and something that wasn't as operations was a little bit outside of my professional scope. So getting back into the marketing, communications, and outreach piece with Senior Solutions seemed like a really good move for me.
Yeah, and being with the Boys and Girls Club during COVID must have been a big challenge, because were the kids coming into the Boys and Girls Club?
They were. So we were able to get kids in. We had an after-school program that went fully outdoors. We still have the club still has that basic retreat farm. So that was a great partnership, so that they could be outside. So after school, parents were able to bring their kids to the farm and
that's great.
So they were outdoors. So that was great. And in the building itself, the club is 8,000 square feet. So it's a huge space. So we were able to separate kids enough so that it was safe.
Yes. You also worked for SIT, and you were on the BUHS Leadership Council.
I was,
yeah. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I did that while my daughter was in high school. And she just graduated this past June, class of 2024. And so the Leadership Council was a mix of parents, students, administration, as well as one school board member from the supervisory union, to get together to talk about issues that were facing students and issues that the school was facing and how parents could stay involved. And so while I was on it during the time, it was a time of great transition for the high school. The leadership changes through COVID. And it was just, I think it's ever evolving what the role of the Leadership Council is going to be. But it was great just to kind of learn about the inner workings of the school and all of the different, politics that happened and all the different players and all the different need. I really only saw one small slice of it through the eyes of my child, but there's so much more.
Yes.
And kids with needs across the spectrum that unless you're faced with it, you don't really see.
Yeah, it's huge.
The needs and what is being asked of educators.
Yes, absolutely. In terms of what you're doing, it's all about communication, and you ensure consistent messaging across all platforms.
That's right.
Which I think is something that whenever I personally go on the internet, for whatever reasons, I pray for.
Exactly.
So there's consistency and a common thread. And I know that you brought all that to Senior Solutions.
Yeah. We really tried to make sure that everybody was fluent in what we do and are able to talk about it in a way that makes sense, and that so when people see our digital communications, our print communications, everything, that is all the same. They can all recognize it. And so our goal is to make sure that when people think about, I need to get everything from community meals to Meals on Wheels to home care, that they I need to call Senior Solutions.
Yeah, Senior Solutions does so many different things. And there are 5 in Vermont. And,
there are,
And here in Southern Vermont, you're serving 46 communities?
We serve 46 communities in Windham and Windsor County, and a couple in Orange and a couple in Bennington. But our headquarters are up in Springfield, but we have an office here in Brattleboro and an office in Windsor where our case managers are based. And we do outreach events and a variety of things. So we do everything from funding, the congregated or the community meal programs, like at the Senior Center, to running memory cafes at the American Legion, where people can bring if they're a caregiver of somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia, they can come to that memory cafe and get support and get some services to learn about, how to best care for that person. We also have a veteran lunch monthly at the American Legion. So we do a variety of things in and about Brattleboro. But we fund services and we also provide services. So and we refer to services. So we're kind of like a one-stop shop for everything from Medicare to to home delivered meals.
It's such a challenge, I would think, too, to sort of, be the marketer for this big organization. Because as you say, it is kind of a one-stop. And, I was thinking on the way in today that when I was growing up, I thought of, me at whatever age I was, and then there were my parents, and then there were my grandparents, right? So it was older people were older people. And I think what we're finding now, especially my generation, we're finding there are developmental stages in aging.
Yes, there are the young seniors.
Yes.
the early seniors, the new seniors,
yes,
who have very different needs and very different capabilities than people in their 80s.
Yes.
So, if you're, 50, 60, even, 70, you have very different needs and a desire for services than somebody who's homebound and much older. People in their 60s, some of them are very, very fluent, have a digital, in digital communications, and some aren't. And so really figuring out how to get that message to them. But especially with the boomers getting older, it's going to be a huge. We're not going to have a lack of customers.
No, you're not, and it's not in the future either.
That's right. It's right now.
We are here.
Yes,
we are
right
definitely
now.
here. And you also have great collaborations going on. You've got you're collaborating with Brattleboro Memorial Hospital and with the Brattleboro Co-op, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, we were just fortunate enough to be at their shareholder meeting this past weekend and their commitment to community. And so we're always trying to get new volunteers, either from co-op members or other people to help with isolation and loneliness. And so that's really where our connection with the co-op comes in, is that co-op members get volunteer hours if they volunteer with us. And so
there's marketing right there, right?
There's marketing, so they can help sit with, seniors who might need some companionship or might need help getting to the store. And we have a variety of volunteer programs, and so that's really what our connection with the co-op is, and it's been great.
It's so terrific.
Our hope is that as the boomer generation gets older, they'll have more free time as their kids move away or go into different phases of life, and they will want to give back to their community, even just, getting together and organizing a coffee with people.
Yeah, it's so important, and I think that that's one thing that really came out of the pandemic, is really realizing how huge isolation is for folks. And how difficult, and it plays into everything, health of the body, mental health, everything.
Well, especially in some of the more rural communities that we serve, right? When you think of all the 46 communities, you think of a place like Wardsboro or Reedsboro or, or even Dummerston and Putney. You can get very isolated.
Yes.
And not see or talk to somebody. Yeah. And it's harder for you to get out of the house if you have mobility issues. So that's where our volunteers can really step in.
Right,
and our Meals on Wheels drivers can really step in and provide some of those services for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, again, getting the word out. I have known about Senior Solutions for a number of years, and I had no idea the bandwidth you guys have for services. It's really pretty remarkable. And of course, not just for elders or older people, but caregivers and service providers and family members. Yeah. So for folks to know that really all they have to do is call, and the phone will be answered by a person.
The phone will be answered by a person, and it's going to be Jocelyn or Katie or Taylor are going to be our helpline staff, and they answer the phone and they can talk people through things. So I think what I really want to make sure that people know is that talk to us before it's a crisis.
Right.
We get a lot of crisis calls like mom fell and she's in the hospital and I don't know what to do and I'm living in New York. So we can help people plan and get things in place for when that fall inevitably happens, as it will to all of us.
Yeah.
And so, you can call our helpline and we are there ready to answer your questions or make the referrals or figure out how to get you what you need.
Yeah, and all you need is a phone. That's another
all
thing.
All you need is a phone.
You don't necessarily need a computer or the internet or anything.
Don't forget that open enrollment for Medicare starts October 15th.
Oh, very good information for folks to know about.
Yeah. So if you're on Medicare and you want to change your plan, October 15th it starts. You can call us and we can help walk you through the
good.
process, because as anybody who has had to deal with Medicare knows, navigating that is not for the faint of heart.
It's not, and it changes.
It does.
Yeah, no, it's really, it's kind of scary.
It is kind of scary,
gotta say.
but we have a dedicated employee who's a state health insurance program specialist, and she is fully trained on how to help people through the Medicare process.
Yeah. Your resource list must be unbelievable.
It's pretty big.
It is, and one thing too, which I didn't know about, was you used to be the Council on Aging.
Yes.
So you've been around, as you said, for 50 years. And now calling it Senior Solutions, which has probably been the last 15 years or so.
About that, yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody in the audience, that's a transitional thing. So Council on Aging is probably what you might be used to hearing about, but now it's Senior Solutions. And again, I know that you always wish to be the first point of contact. And again, in terms of what you do, Renee, and what you've done for almost anything you've been involved with, is sort of helping people connect the dots.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Going from one place to another, knowing how this is related to that, and what's available.
Yes, and really figuring out that, one organization can do multiple things.
Yes.
And really knowing how to connect those dots, how to figure out how to get a continuum of care. No matter where you are in the process, you can plug in, dip in, dip out as you need services. And, we offer a strong continuum of care across the aging.
Yeah,
the aging's the timeline.
yeah. That time of life. Do you have refrigerator magnets for folks?
We do.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We've got so many. We've got like little refrigerator magnets that just have our helpline on it, and then we have bigger ones that have like a full range of resources from like the Gathering Place and the hospital,
great.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, so people can come to we are at the Senior Center the first Wednesday of the month from 10 to 12, and you can come there.
Here in Brattleboro. And where is it?
At the Senior Center is in
I'm sorry, the Senior
Center is at the Gibson-Aiken Center on the first floor.
At the rec center.
At the rec center.
Yes.
And so we have a representative there the first Wednesday of the month from 10 to 12.
That's great, first Wednesday of the month. That would be coming up soon.
Yes.
Well, the beginning of each month.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, I know. One thing that I don't know where you said this or how what it was about, but you said the cure for anything is salt water. Sweat, tears, the sea.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Jump in the ocean. Have a really good cry.
Or have a really good exercise.
Yeah.
So I read that somewhere. I put that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really great. It's if you're going to live by an aphorism, that's a good one to remember. Yeah.
And I grew up very close to the ocean, so I could go to the ocean a lot. I miss it.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah. It's not right next door for us.
It's not.
No.
I mean, it's close, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not right around the corner.
Yeah. That was New Jersey.
That was New
right?
Jersey. Yep.
Yeah. So the Atlantic.
Yes.
Renee, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's wonderful to get this information and to get that information out there. And just remember, folks, Senior Solutions. All you got to do is call. You can look at their website, which I think that you're going to be
we're going to be redoing it.
Redoing the website.
It's seniorsolutionsvt.org.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of you out there for being with us today and hearing about Senior Solutions and a lot of other cool things that Renee has done, including being on the ice rink and making a lot of friends doing it too, right? A lot of great people involved. We will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.